Yo, 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 good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Bison, aka BisonTrades, over on Twitter, and this is RareFUD Radio. Welcome into episode 17. We have a very special guest joining us for today's show, Adam Ape. If you don't know who Adam Ape is, he is the creator of Voxel Monkes. He's also the creator of a bunch of Web2 logos, including, but not limited to, A24 Studios, as well as Google's redesign. You know, when you actually use the Google Assistant, it pops up and it thinks, and you have the little dots, and all of a sudden it goes into the G. Yeah, that's Adam. Man, he's crazy talented. Came out with one of the most famous series of one-on-one art over on Solana, and we talked to him a little bit about his career, talking to him a little bit about Voxel Monkes, and then, of course, talking to him about Iron Paw Gang, his upcoming collection that's going to be on Ethereum, and talk to him a little bit about, you know, his decision making, his processes, and his background. We're so excited to have him on today's show. And of course, we are joined by my co-host Dorian. Dorian, how you doing today, my man?
Yo, I say every day's a holiday, but you know, all holidays are not created equal. This is like Christmas, dog. I'm super pumped for today.
That's right. That's right. We are so excited to talk to Adam. And of course, don't forget too, before we bring on Joe, that we do have a Spaces on Friday. It's going to be noon tomorrow. Twitter Spaces. It will be hosted by the RareFUD account. Make sure you go following that account as well, at RareFUD Radio, all one word. And let's go ahead and bring on Joe for today's show. Joe, how we doing today?
Doing well, guys. Very happy to be here. Super stoked. Big fan of Adam. And can't wait to talk to him, pick his brain, and hear about his story, man. It's going to be some fun stuff.
It is definitely going to be fun stuff. Before we bring up Adam, we'll just talk a little bit about market summary, what's going on in today's market, because there is a little bit of note that we need to talk about. We are under 100,000 SOL for generative collections on Magic Eden. We are only at 76,000. I think it's interesting to talk about, though, because, you know, across all marketplaces, we're seeing that it's a little under 100,000. I think it's about 93 last time I checked. So we're seeing a good bit of volume across other marketplaces as well. And guys, to me, that's a little bit encouraging. I like seeing competition amongst marketplaces, keeps them honest, keeps them innovative. You know, if they don't feel the fire, they're not going to innovate, and they're just going to keep their product the same and rake in the cash. So for me, a little bit bullish, but I want to hear your guys' sentiment on the market. Where do you think we're at? Are you guys bearish now? Are we bullish still? What's going on here, Dorian?
Yeah, man. I use 100K volume as an indicator of like which direction we're heading. It's like if we're hovering like right below 100K, as I said on last episode, I get a little bit scared, man. It's like, is that volume going to continue to drop? However, the fact that we have Utes on the horizon and pilots on the horizon as well makes me cautiously optimistic about the market being able to retain the type of excitement. Also, the fact that we have these other marketplaces out there vampiring liquidity from Magic Eden is a great sign, in my opinion. If you haven't got to the opportunity to use these platforms like Tensor and Hyperspace and Elixir and Hate Swap, I recommend giving it a shot. It's like there's a slight learning curve on some of these, and the UIs are better than others, but it's an amazing experience, and you should definitely check it out.
Yeah, 100%. We'll definitely be talking about that tomorrow on our Friday Spaces, because there's a ton to get into. Joe, what are your thoughts on the market before we welcome on our very special guest?
Yeah, same thoughts I had Tuesday. You know, we're just kind of shipping the sea right now on smooth water. Some choppy. There's obviously drama in the market, CT Twitter today, and we could touch on that maybe a little bit later. But other than that, it's everything's good to go. Looking for some entries into some strong projects to throw in the ledger. Been doing too much trading and feeling very worn down, so I got to check my mental health here. And so I'm just to help myself, I'll buy one good piece of art that I really love, throw it in the ledger. That'll help me mentally, and then I'll close my degen doors for a couple months, I think.
100%. And excuse me, guys, my dog is going crazy in the background. But
No, you're good.
nonetheless, I still want to see market stats on Magic Eden's page. I still think they took down the market stats because they're losing market share. Like, that might just be like a tinfoil hat theory, but they're losing market share. I just want to see what the one-on-one marketplace looks like, right? This kind of leads us into our special guest today, but we were hovering around that 10K soul mark for the past 7 days. I still think we're holding that for the most part. I know there's a bunch of artists coming out with some cool collections and continuing some of them, like High Blinks and her Hoodlums and Proteon with his Portraits of the Aftermath, and Low Fronts. Low Fronts is doing very well, and they're over on Form Function. So we have competition over there as well. It's good to see. And I'm excited to see what happens with marketplace innovation. Nonetheless, I do want to get into today's guest because his time is very valuable. Let's go ahead and bring on Mr. Adam Ape. Adam, how you doing today, man? Thank you so much for joining the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good to see everyone.
Yeah, likewise, man.
Welcome.
I think we gave a little bit of an introduction to you. I told everybody their homework was to listen to Malbec with Moo because you had an excellent episode with it. I only caught bits and pieces of it when it first aired and listened to it back again before you agreed to come onto the show. And you came out with some really good points. I know a lot has developed since then. It's been about 2 months, a month and a half since you were on Malbec with Moo, and a lot has changed since then. On that show, you were talking about how you were thinking, hey, not sure if it's Solana or Ethereum that you're going to release Iron Paw Gang on. You ended up going with Ethereum, and you were leaning towards it on the show too. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I want to talk to you about your background, man. You are such an accomplished artist and animator and logo designer, and I wanted to talk to you about your background growing up, going into a very esteemed school, and then how you got to where you are today.
Sure. You want me to start all the way back?
Yeah. Just give us a brief synopsis of what it was like growing up as Adam Ape.
I mean, I would say I had a pretty average, childhood experience. I was born in Brooklyn, but was raised in New Jersey, North Jersey. Grew up like listening to hip hop, skateboarding, listening to rock too, punk, metal. I was always like, my tastes have always been eclectic when it comes to music, when it comes to art, when it comes to film, everything. So and New Jersey is like an interesting place because you have urban and suburban very close together, lots of different cultures mixing, and it was a cool place to sort of get to see, a cross section of humanity.
Yeah.
But besides that, man, like I never had like any goals to be an artist when I was a kid. I was just kind of like, I would coast through school, wasn't really into academics, had no plans of going to college. And then got caught up in some selling some illicit substances to sort of like fund my lifestyle, and that sort of like led to an intervention from my family where they were like, hey, you could do that, you just can't do that on our property, so if you're going to keep doing that, we're going to kick you out. And I didn't really want to go down like the drug kingpin road, so decided, all right, I'm gonna try to get my shit together, and decided I skipped ahead a little bit, but at the time I was working at Foot Locker, and Foot Locker like gave me exposure to streetwear and sneaker culture, and all those things tied into like skateboarding and Nike SBs and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna go to college, what the hell do I want to do? I like streetwear, I like street culture. How do I start a clothing company? And I Googled it, and it was like graphic design, and that was basically like the kicking off point for everything.
It's awesome, man. So correct me if I'm wrong, and Dorian might know too. You started at community college, isn't that correct, Adam?
Yeah, because I didn't have, the problem with art school is like, like especially like SVA, you can't just go in there without any prior experience. Most people are preparing in high school, and because I just didn't know what I wanted to do, I didn't have a portfolio. I didn't know I didn't really like set out to be an artist. It was something I had discovered, so I had to start from scratch, which is, you know, the community college thing didn't require that path. I could like get started there instead of on my own.
Yeah, I heard during your talk with Mumu, you were talking about your experience going to college, being a little bit older, and I can relate to that as well. I was in the military for a certain amount of time before going to college, so I'm like one of the oldest people in my class. And while like it was a little awkward, it's like I kind of appreciate that I went to college a little bit later because I was more mature and more focused than if I would have went sooner.
Yeah, no, that's true, man. Like the 4 years that I took, just like aimlessly working dead-end jobs and doing whatever between high school and college, like at first I was kind of annoyed, you know, that like, man, all my peers are much younger than me, they have a head start. But when you think about like artistic output, like life experience and all that stuff matters. So I think in the end, you know, it was a path that led me to where I am now. So I don't look back on it like that anymore.
100%.
Yeah, yo, I completely agree with you. Like, even with me, I can say that, like, man, I felt like I messed up, but it's like, no, it's like life took me exactly where I needed to be and put me on the correct path. So it's like we all have different ways of getting where we need to go. So, but yeah, man.
Yeah, totally.
It's hard understanding that when you're younger too, you know, like you don't really grasp that until you're older and kind of have some introspection. But yeah, talk to us a little bit about SVA and then, you know, your post college career and what led you to some of these amazing logo redesigns.
Yeah, I mean, so immediately going into community college, I just like caught the design and art bug, like learned about art history, got into like buying all kinds of books. Like I have an extensive book collection on art and graphic design history, and just like fell in love with it. And, you know, not to like brag, but outperformed most of my classmates, which was never something that ever happened to me. I was always like, you know, in terms of like high school and testing, I was never ever at the top of the class. So it was weird to become that. And figured, okay, you know, maybe I can pivot this into applying to a school like SVA. My work was good enough to get accepted in at that point, which was like, at the time was mind blowing. It's like, holy shit, I'm going to like this prestigious art school. This is incredible. And it felt like a new world opening up, basically. All my classmates were like crazy talented. All the professors were known people in the industry. So it was really just like full on deep dive and like immersed in that culture. And then while I was studying graphic design, one of my professors had the instinct to say, hey, your work could really do well in animation, in motion, in moving form. And I had never considered that. And I took an After Effects class, which is like learning. It's like basically in the Adobe suite. It's the software for animation. Took that, and then I once again went through the process of like, holy shit, this is amazing. I love this, and went full on into the animation aspect of it. What led me to like some of the bigger jobs was, I have to give credit to my senior thesis professor. He pulled me right out of class. He was the creative director at a well-known and respected branding studio in Manhattan. Was like, hey, I think you have a lot of potential. I want to hire you at my company. So I went directly from graduating to working at his company, and that's where I like cut my teeth and learned about the industry and clients and got to work with all these crazy amazing clients and other people and teammates, and that was sort of like the starting point for that.
Yeah. And it's a crazy portfolio you have, Adam. I mean, we talk about some of the smaller ones, but the ones that you're probably most well known for are the Google logo, the animated logo, right? So I remember back in the day going on the Google machine, right? And just seeing like your multicolored Google, and then you just completely transformed it. It actually makes it feel like a modern company now rather than like, you know, a Yahoo. And I remember seeing it for the first time because I'm, you know, I go back and forth between Apple and a Android phone. And I just, man, the one thing I miss about Android more than anything is the Google Assistant. So I used to I literally saw your logo like multiple times a day because that's what it came up with. So, you know, like how did you? Okay, what came first? It was A24 came first, right? And that was before they were even a big thing.
Yeah, that was a nights and weekends project while I was working full time at this other company, and you know, I think I spent maybe 3 nights on it. Got paid like $1,000 and never thought twice about it because at the time they had one movie out starring Charlie Sheen as a cowboy or something. I was like, this is so stupid. Like, whatever. This is never going to be anything. And then, you know, never could have predicted what happened after that. But that was just like, I don't know, a 1 in a million kind of thing where this weird job I took on the side became this other thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Then we obviously have the Google logo, you know, like what led up to that? Because that's a big, I mean, that's something that billions of people see.
Yeah. And I don't want to say I'm the dude behind all that because obviously there was lots of people who work at Google who were working on this, but I was one of the first animators and motion designers to be hired at the company. So I was able to provide like the fluidity and the transitions and like show like, hey, this identity can be dynamic and it can morph and it can change shape and become all these, it can be fluidly all of these different things. And that was sort of like the special sauce that I provided for that. But a lot of, you know, before I even joined, a lot of designers were like, hey, our logo sucks. Like, you know, like there were plenty of people who tried to get rid of the 4 colors, but I think that was just too much of a Google staple that they wanted to stick with the 4 colors. But at least like the typeface and everything was updated to feel more modern. Because I think if you look back at the logo design history of the Google mark, it's like terrible. It was all done by engineers. Like I think Sergey and what's his face did the first one. Like people who weren't designers worked on the logo, so it was begging for designers to come in and give it some love.
Yeah, it kind of, I mean, when they designed that logo, I feel like that was kind of, you know, early NFTs as well, where people are just trying to get stuff out the door. Like they knew they had something revolutionary on the horizon, and they're like, yo, we need something that just says Google, and we'll just make it fun, and we just need to get our product out there. So way to bring Google up to the 21st century. Really modernize their logo because it's excellent. And I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about, so we know your background. You're incredibly talented. Talk to me a little bit about your entrance into Web3, mainly crypto. I heard on Moo that you were buying top since 2017. I feel that. But yeah, so talk to me a little bit about like, what was your first crypto and why crypto? What got you into it?
Yeah. Before I do that, I just realized that Larva Labs, the creators of CryptoPunks, also worked on the Android robot, and they were at Google at the time that I was there. And I really wish I knew what they were doing because I would have grabbed.
That's crazy.
Give you a little like heads up. That would have been really cool, man. That's funny.
Yeah. So I can't remember exactly when I became aware of crypto, but I think like mid 2017, late 2017, I was hearing people talk about it. And of course, waited too long to buy it, bought it at the top, you know, saw that money just disintegrate into basically nothing, but I didn't sell. The weird thing was like, everyone else I knew was like, it's over, I'm selling, but I never sold. I didn't also buy more, which is another mistake, but was just curious about the space and like figured, all right, maybe this will be something, and I'll just like keep this in my wallet in case anything happens, and was just sort of generally loosely paying attention to the space over the next 2-3 years. And then once I saw NFTs really blowing up, I think like one of the first instances was like when Jay-Z bought his CryptoPunk. I was like, okay, whoa, he's a smart dude. He understands culture. What the hell's going on here? That made me pay attention. And then when I started seeing peers of mine, like, so at SVA, I had the pleasure of meeting a bunch of people. One of those people was a guy by the name of DK Motion. He's one of the bigger Ethereum artists, you know, Kuzomo, I think, had bought one of his pieces for $1 million. So I started seeing him blow up, and I just like DM'd him like, dude, explain this to me. Can you tell me? Can you just give me a rundown on what this is? Like, why are you excited about it? Should I jump in? And he just like basically onboarded me pretty much. And that was like mid 2021. And ever since then, I've been full, you know, just like jumped right into collecting and minting my own work.
So like it seems like your friend, if I'm not mistaken, he was on the ETH side of things. Like, so how did you get over to Solana, and like how did you find SMB?
Yeah. So while I was watching the NFT space, I was also still buying. I was buying ETH and looking at some other coins, and lost a lot of money on shit coins as well. One of those coins, one of the other coins that I felt really good about was Solana. I think I bought it at like $20-$30. So I was keeping an eye on that. I saw that they had an NFT space, and I actually minted my first NFT on Ethereum on Foundation, and it sat unsold for like 3 months. And then I think DK ended up buying it, which felt like, I don't know, a pity buy or something from a friend. Didn't really count to me. And I just noticed, oh, wow, it's really hard to break in to this space. If you're not an established name, if you don't have connections, it's really difficult to get traction. And I also tried to buy one of my first NFT attempt was buying one of DK's pieces, which sold out in like 30 seconds. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I can't even buy it. Like, what's going on? This is wild. So I was like, okay, this Solana's got this. I have some coins. It's gone up quite a bit. They have an NFT space. Let me check this out. And I was just out of curiosity that I like peeped at the Solana NFT space, saw it was new, saw there weren't too many artists around at the time, and it just felt like an opportunity to start on the ground floor of something. And I just jumped right in. I bought a DAA, I bought an SMB. I started figuring out how to mint work, and I was like looking at all the Plex, and I think SolArt was like the only other marketplace. I don't even remember what else was around at the time, but
so good old SolArt day. That was, oh man.
Yeah, I think SolSea was around then too. The wannabe OpenSea. And that was definitely a crazy time, because that was about the same time I came in. I was like studying for 2 months. I was like, what is going on here? Because NFTs were such a mystery to me. It was such an ethereal thing where I have a guy, he's well known in the space, Crypto Fitch. His name is Franklin Fitch, and I actually met him and David Holt, who runs Jungle DeFi. I Draw Charts is his Twitter name, and they were the ones. Fitch got me into like just open up the idea of NFTs to me, where it's like, dude, what is this? It's a piece of art that's selling for tens of thousands of dollars. Like, why can't I just right click save? And everybody starts with the why can't I right click save, right? And it's just like, dude, what? This is going for how much? I know you get that all the time too, Adam. I heard your conversation with Moomin, where you're talking to your friends and family, like, yo, my work's going for like thousands of dollars, and they're like, what the heck is this? Like, why is this happening? How do you have like even broach that conversation with them now, that like you're spending time on this?
Yeah, I mean, so funny enough, like, I think my dad was the one who told me about Solana, like the coin. Like, so crypto, me, my brother, and my dad, we like to talk about this shit.
Yeah.
And I guess once things started like picking up for me in NFTs, I was like telling them about it, and they were like, "Oh wow, the buyers is stupid, but great for you that you made all this money." And they were like, "Wow, someone paid you X amount of money for an animated monkey. That's dumb, but congrats." Like, basically, like, that was their initial response. And then as time went on, they got to see like, okay, there's like millions of dollars pouring into the space, like legitimate companies, Nike buying Artifact, and like, okay, wow, this could be something big. But then at the same time, when the market crashed, everyone's like, how you doing? You all right? Like,
Yep. Get it all the time. Are you okay? Like, dog, you weren't asking me okay if it was during the bull market. Where are you at then?
You were asking me for money back then, bro.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, it's funny how fickle everybody's emotions are when they know. So I stopped telling, because I was preaching the gospel back in 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I remember there's this one quote unquote friend where he got mad at me because I told him, I was like, yo, like, I think this is still a good buy. He bought it went up, but he didn't sell, and then it went all the way, it did the whole crypto thing, and he's like, bro, I can't believe like you made me buy this. Like, dude, I didn't make you buy anything. And so that's when I just kind of stopped talking about it so publicly. Like I'll talk about it with people who are like genuinely curious, but you just kind of learn that lesson. I'm sure you figured out the same thing, Adam, where you're just so picky about who you talk about it with. You gotta like kind of condition them to accept that talk, especially with NFTs where coins, it's like, okay, well, I can kind of, like the stock market goes up and down, and you can kind of allude it to that, where this is like, they're like, it's literally a picture. I can Google search stuff like this, which you can't. And so that's kind of what like NFTs open me up to, is like being able to trace artwork. And art is the first and most important use case for NFTs, in my opinion, right? Like it just 100%. Opens up a world for a lot of people, and it's not just us, and like it's for the third world countries, right? Like the people who don't have a voice now get this huge exposure, and I think it's such a cool movement. And once you kind of like clicks with you, you're red pill, man. You can't go back after it. So Voxel Monkes is probably your most notable work here in the Web3 space. Collection of 75. It was trimmed down from 100. What made you decide that, Adam? Was it kind of like, I feel like I've done as much work on this as I want to, and I kind of want to focus on something else, or was it something else?
It was a combination of a bunch of things. Like, at the time, like the one-of-one space, the one-of-one sales really took a hit, and like nobody was buying. The idea of like spending another 6 months doing weekly auctions was like, I just felt like I would stop enjoying it. So it was both like a marketing decision around like maintaining scarcity and attention, and just like wanting to do something new. Because like working on the same thing for a year, it's been an amazing thing. But like in my head, like I want to do a generative collection. Like there's other things I want to do. That's the challenge with like one collection that you're spreading out over a year plus. Same subject matter, same aesthetic. It was just like, I think it's both of those things, and I think that decision worked out.
Absolutely. I know you. So I mean, like you started out in Ethereum NFTs, right? Then you found your way over to Solana, and you started to want to work with Solana, and now you kind of like you're like, hey, I see a bridge that needs to be gapped here. And I heard it on Moo where we talk about, we as Solana people, I'm mainly Solana, but I started out on Ethereum too. I was preaching the Ethereum gospel to the Bitcoin maxis back in 17, 18, really up until 2020, 2021. I still love Ethereum. I think there's a place for it for sure. Like you just have that network effect, right? That will always be there. It will always be stronger until we have years and Solana catches up maybe in the future, but it just has that, like it has the network effect. And it's one of those things that now we have Solana where I'm trying to tell Ethereum maxis, and Ethereum maxis, it's hard for them to kind of break that barrier. And they're like, well, the chain goes down. They can't use the proof of stake or anything like centralized stuff now because they switched over with the merge. And, they do have a lower Nakamoto coefficient now when it comes to centralization. That'll change, obviously. That's what happens post-merge. That will get better. But I kind of want to talk about, like, you went from Ethereum to Solana, and now we're kind of going back to Ethereum, and we're just trying to bridge the gap there. I want to talk about, like, your choice to go Iron Paw Gang. Let's talk a little bit about that before I talk about, bridging those gaps. What is it? What was the inspiration behind it? What led you to it?
Yeah, I think so. As I mentioned, after a year of doing one-of-one auctions, in my head, I was like, okay, well, I've tackled this, and I understand what this is about. And a generative collection is like a design problem, right? Like as a designer, as an animator, you look at things as like solutions to design problems. And I think the constraints of a modular like animation system that can be randomly built upon is just it's like an interesting thing, thing to tackle. So in my head, I knew that I want to try that next. And also it was like a thing where you could do all the work up front, release it, and then have it be like take a life of its own in a way. So I knew I wanted to do a generative collection, boutique, small supply, make it feel like one-of-one quality, but be able to scale that. And then I wanted to be animated because that's just my bread and butter, my secret sauce.
Right.
so to speak. And I obviously I saw the success of things like Invisible Friends and DK on Ethereum, and just wanted to sort of one up that, build on the walk cycle genre, and maybe introduce like the PFP component. So that was the one thing I felt was missing from like the walk cycle genre. Where like Invisible Friends, I think they tried to do it, but I don't know if their character was like. And don't get me wrong, I love Invisible Friends. The art is amazing, but it wasn't. It felt like the PFP execution was tacked on at the end, but the art, there's no faces, so I don't know. It's weird to have those as PFPs, and they weren't meant for that.
Yep.
Definitely.
So with Iron Paw, it was like, okay, I can do a walk cycle. I love mechs. I love sci-fi and like that genre, which is really cool for like components and randomization there. And then what if the mech had a driver, which also served as a PFP, and you could swap the driver out to get like the full animated experience.
Like another level, yeah.
Yeah, so that I was like, okay, that's interesting. I haven't seen that done before. That feels like a little bit innovation. And then also I was thinking, what complements animation sound design, right? So I'm also going to be doing generative sound effects for the mech.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I think it's like innovating on multiple fronts.
Joe, I'm like, if you can't tell, I'm like super excited for your Iron Paw gang. You're awesome, dude. You like have such an illustrious work history, and I'm super bullish on you. I have a question regarding the generative sound animation. I think that's the term you use. If not, I apologize. Or generative sound design. How difficult is that? Because you're coming out with a collection that's going to be, of course, generative, but you have to match up sounds according to like whatever element comes out. So like, how difficult is it to make sure that everything flows smoothly? And how do you like work that process?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. But because I think what helps is the way that the mech walk, like the cadence of the mech walk is like right arm gets a moment, left arm gets a moment, and the legs are just sort of constant. So what I've been doing is all the sounds that the lower body that are attached to the lower body are a little bit lower and background noise, and then each arm trait kind of gets its own moment where it's the only thing that's in focus or the only thing that you're looking at because its action is taking place. So the cadence of the walk kind of just lends itself to the modularity of that. There's been some situations where like, okay, I need to figure out like this payload with these legs and this arm is just like too much at once. So I might have to do some tweaking there, but generally it's been working pretty well, I would say.
I mean, I agree. The couple previews that I've seen, they all look amazing. I did want to ask about, what was my question? Regarding the mint. The whitelist allocation. We know that Voxel Monkes gets 5 whitelist and 1 free mint, and then 4x4s get 1 whitelist, and the supply chain Voxel Monkes get 1 whitelist. However, that still remains remaining supply. Are you trying to keep? Could you tell us like how that's going to be distributed? You haven't released that yet?
I'm not releasing any more NFTs. There's like the rest of the spots won't be purchase based. It'll be like strategically selected other projects, other one-on-one artists. Like I haven't decided how I'm going to do that, but I know like I just want to be smart about who and where I'm giving the rest to, because I think about 50% is already spoken for, so that I have to be real smart about the rest.
Yeah. That makes sense. And I think it's really cool. We've been seeing this meta a lot lately where, one-on-one artists like yourself are giving, kind of allow list or whitelist or pre-sale to their next edition or something. I mean, John Lay announced it with GM and his first edition. We've seen low fronts, which we are both big fans of low fronts here, Dorian and I. I think Soulboy and Eto have just created a really cool concept. And it kind of reminds me of Iron Paw, right? Like it's that harmony of all those elements of animation, graphic design, illustration, and audio, making a really immersive experience that I think is very cool by getting them not only pre-sale allocation to their next edition or anything like that, but also collaborating with other artists. We just got Pop Heads with Joyce Liu and I think that's really cool, seeing that just melding of like an artist collective where people are just trying to support other people. I think it's really cool. So it's seeing it with 4x4, which was nice to see. You know, I've just known you as the Voxel Monkey guy for so long now, and that it's fun to see like another style from you. And I know that was one thing that you talked about with Moo, where you're like, I don't want to ever like just like encapsulate myself in one style, where if I did another voxel thing, I'd be the voxel guy, right?
Yeah.
And you know, you had like a pixel animation there, and then we have Iron Paw, which is in its own class, right? I mean, the previews like we've seen, I'll go ahead and find it on Twitter and share my screen, but it's incredible. And so I guess it's nice to see that you are working with other artists to kind of empower them, and as well as kind of find the right people, because I think that's important, right? Like finding the right people to mint your project, and also hold it to where, you know, they're like preaching the gospel rather than just flipping it. Because we make no mistakes about it. We are traders, but we're also community empowerers. Like Dorian is a community manager over at Cyber Samurai. I'm working with Remnants. I know Joe works with D Traders. He's a big D Gods maxi. So we love forming communities as well. And I think that's one thing that you've done really well over there, Adam, is just talking to other people and getting other people on board. I want to talk about your NFT purchases, and then we'll talk about the Ethereum kind of bridge that you're trying to make over there. You got a CryptoPunk, which is a very cool CryptoPunk. You know, as you get more involved in the space, you just kind of see why CryptoPunks are so revered in the space. I also heard you've got a Proof Collective pass as your most recent NFT purchase. That wasn't 101, according to Moo, which is great, because I think Proof Collective is like one of the biggest art collectives in the space right now. They just have such an appreciation for art over there. And so it's moves like that I'm like, okay, you know, and Dorian talked about it too, where it's like, that's what you like to see, is like, he's just trying to join communities and really like get his voice heard, as well as hear other people and collaborate with people. What's that been like for you? Because, you know, I wanted to join the Proof Collective when it was first minting. I got, you know, quickly bought out. But what's it been like over there?
I mean, it's been, you're spot on. Like, not only with these like personal like buys for me, but like felt like strategic decisions for the benefit of Iron Paw and my collectors. So, man, Proof and Punks are like my two favorite, honestly, my two favorite communities in the space. Both Kevin and Justin Mazel followed me after that buy, which is super cool. And I actually met with Justin Mazel, showed him Iron Paw. He's stoked on it, and I'm gonna try to. That's gonna be one of the first communities I want to give allocation to, because, like you said, they appreciate art. People who like the art are way more diamond-handed and supportive than traders. And then obviously with the punks, like having them, you know, get on board with the project would just be massive. So these are like, honestly, it's been strategic. It's been like both, like, of course I want to have a punk because I believe in NFTs in the space, and that's like, to me, the most iconic and OG NFT that there is. And then just like being able to be in those circles and talk about my work, and like just have, you know, more network effects, just felt like a no-brainer to me, you know?
100%. And so I mean, it brings us to our point where, you know, I don't want to say you made a name for yourself in Solana, because you made a name for yourself before Solana, before NFTs or anything like that, right? Like you have great work. Your one-on-one space came through in Solana with Voxel Monkes, and it started out with gifts, right? Like you just animated your SMB, and then all of a sudden people are asking you for it. Then all of a sudden you're minting these things, and they're worth thousands and thousands of dollars. Like that's a cool network effect. I want to talk to you about like how that started. Do you think that was a really good thing for you? Like Voxel Monkes was, you know, there's some people that would be like scoffing at it, be like, oh yeah, it's a derivative. No, it was a strategic thing where you were just having fun with it, and then you got your community. You're a part of the community. It wasn't like you just ripped them off or anything, and it got a community effect. Do you think that's a really good like way for artists to get their name out there? Because we've seen it with Scuba Steve is another example I'd like to say, with Nippies, you know, coming out with Utes, and people were asking for reveals on art, and he was like, yeah, this is what they're going to look like. Became kind of a meme project, and all of a sudden, you know, Scuba's doing great work now and got his name recognized. Do you suggest that artists maybe take that approach, but in like a wholehearted stance, where they're just like, hey, I just want to connect with community members?
I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't, like, looking back on it now, it looks strategic, but it was totally like, I was just like organically like, hey, I like animating pixel art. I did mine, and then it just blew up. And then, you know, like you said, I did get pushback in the beginning because there are, SMB was the biggest project at the time, and there were so many ripoffs. And you know what's funny? I don't know if there are any Nintendo fans out here, but the SMB monkey is actually a ripoff from Yoshi's Island. Whenever someone says it, I'm like, bro, I got the receipts. Like, everything's a remix.
Everything's a derivative of something.
Exactly. That's just culture. Like, people say that have no understanding of, like, in hip hop sampling. Like, this is just how culture works, how art works. So, like, it's just stupid. But I was able to move past that, and obviously the market decided that this wasn't just a derivative. They saw value in it, and I never could have imagined the success that it had, which has been incredible.
It has been. It was really cool to see it watch unfold, because like I said, I think us on stage, we have a really neutral standpoint. We're able to see things in a bigger picture than I'd say most people do. But just seeing it all unfold, and like, this started out as just a fun project. It started out as GIFs, and all of a sudden, or GIFs, whatever you want to pronounce it. I would like to take this moment and say I think it should be pronounced GIFs. It's graphics, interchange, whatever. Yeah, I think there's no J in there or anything. So just want to point that out to the audience. I think it should be pronounced GIFs, but if you want to say GIF, that's fine. And then turning it into something as crazy as you did, where you now have like a true community behind you, and you're just growing from there. I think it's a really cool way to see art disseminate and what I think is a modern fashion. So let's get to the creme de la creme right here, right? Your choice to go with ETH over Sol. And just kind of walk us through that, because I see advantages to both, right? Like, ETH people have way more diamond hands, in my opinion. They're not just flipping for like a 1 or 2 Sol profit, whereas and I think it could be a byproduct of ETH just being $1,400 versus $30 of Sol. But it's also like I get it. Like, they have they're more mature market. They have more respect for art. We saw that with CryptoPunks and everything like that. On the other hand, I think you can do more cool things with Solana. Do you see like the network over at ETH hindering anything you want to do in the future with like cool things with Iron Paw Gang, or is that something that you consider?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is like, the more complex the contract, that more gas it's going to cost. So, with the driver swapping, I definitely consider that, because it's like, I'm going to keep it simple for now. I think it's okay, but like, I did have ideas like, maybe in the future, can there be like weapon airdrops, and can that be updated in your NFT? But once the project gets to that point, if and when it gets to that point, maybe there's like a cross-chain feature for something like that.
Perfect.
I think it's valuable having the Genesis piece live on ETH, and then if I want to do a sister collection or some a game or whatever, can be done on a different chain.
Yeah, that's what I was. Go ahead, Dorian.
No, I'm sorry, Bison. No, I was just going to say that's a great idea. It's like, you've already established your reputation here. So then going to ETH, establishing yourself there, you'll be one of the few that are able to do a successful cross-chain, anything that you have planned. I know a lot of projects attempt to do this, but because it's so difficult to get yourself established on a different chain, once you're already established in an ecosystem, a lot of these projects fail. Not knocking Boryoku Dragons, but we saw when they released the Kuma Dragons, it didn't do too hot. So great job, Adam. Like, you're just all that type of foresight, man, is incredible.
Thanks, man. And a lot of people have used that as like, nah, don't do it. Like, and that's fine. Like, I just think it's a different model, where Boryoku was a brand. It was a project where I'm a one-of-one artist, and I don't think there's a precedent for one-of-one artists transferring communities and doing the same thing. So I think it's actually different. And I'm hoping that's the thing that's going to lead me to success. Is I'm not just a project trying to release on a separate chain. I'm an artist choosing to release work on a different chain.
That's beautifully said.
Yeah, dude, I agree with you and Bison. And the thing that I like what you're doing is that you're not abandoning your community. You're bringing them along with you. You're bringing Voxel Monkes and people who supported you over to on Solana over to ETH. And then you just reiterated that in the future, you're going to bring those individuals who supported on ETH and bring them back over to Solana. And I like this cross-chain dynamic that you really have going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it'll be the gateway drug, and it's already sort of happening. Like, so the only way right now to get a allow list for Iron Paw is to buy a Solana NFT, and a couple punks have done it already. My friend who's a Bored Ape, Maxi, he bought his first Solana NFT and it was a 4x4. So I think forcing people to do that, right? So like you're an ETH guy, you want to get access, you got to buy a Solana NFT. So you got to experience the UX and do all this, that, and so forth. And then subsequent drops, whether it's like sister collection or a game or whatever, in the same brand back on Solana, causes the same thing in reverse. So yeah, I think my goal is to have cross pollination from both sides.
Yeah. I mean, you could not. It was one of those things that I was trying to think of in my head, Adam, where I was like, man, it just feels like this is such a big chasm to jump, right? Because I always think of it kind of like a Punnett square, and I was trying to think of like how I would visualize it, but it kind of looks like the square that has 4 squares in there, and it's like you have Solana up top, and then you have Ethereum on this side, and then you have like the generative side and the 101 side for each of them, right? And it's like, okay, well, if you're a 101 artist, shouldn't you try to go either generative Solana or 101 Ethereum and maybe try starting there first before just jumping the chasm that is, going to generative ETH from 101 Solana? And then I thought about it. I was like, man, he's doing all the right moves to make it happen, though. Like he is being a part of the generative community in Ethereum. He's been big on 101 Solana. He's also joined, what's the last generative Solana piece that you bought, Adam?
Generative Solana, either Utes or the DGOT, or no, Critters.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. See, Critters is another one
Critters.
that.
See?
I know. Critters are.
I just bought one. One.
See?
It's hard for me to interject because I don't have my face on here, so I'm so sorry, Adam. I just want to say everything you said has been so awesome and amazing to hear how you came up. I'm from New Jersey myself, bro.
Oh, what's up, man?
I was definitely gonna say Joe is our resident.
I sold a lot of. Yeah, I had a lot of paraphernalia and cop situations within my young adult years. I've had a lot of the same situations happen and rose out of the fire and ashes like Phoenix, bro. So it's awesome to see kind of how you've carved your path innovatively in your own lane. Like, not really. I know everything's a derivative, but you've done it in such an innovative way. Like, no one can even call it a derivative if they really wanted to. Like, it's such a new and inspired look and feel. So just wanted to give those big shout outs to you, homie. And Bison and Dorian, they're awesome with questions. I'm not as articulate, so I just wanted to get that in there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Don't undershoot yourself, Joe.
No, that's I was gonna say, bro, Joe. You're more than welcome to interject and just say like, sorry for interrupting, because it is hard not to see your face. But it is one of those things, Adam, that after I kind of just sat on it and I'm not a Solana maxi. Like, I do think there is a multi-chain future in the future, and it just takes the right steps to get there. And I think what you're doing is actually like a big step for us, right? It's all about bridging gaps, right? It's all about bridging the generative to 101, the Solana to Ethereum, the Solana to whatever, Cardano or whatever the future looks like, Aptos, Sui, whatever that looks like, right? There will always be more innovations, and we just have to figure out like, how do we get to the next place? And it is the Web 2 to Web 3 thing. Talk to me a little bit about that. Like, what are you going to do? Because we've seen you do really well within the Web3 space, where it is, you're finding the right communities within the Ethereum space. You're finding the right communities. You built a community within the Solana space. Are you trying to like branch out and be like, yo, come over here, Web2 people? Like, what are you doing on that front?
Honestly, I haven't been too active on, getting Web2 people, but I will say that a lot of my friends who aren't in the space have been hitting me up. I don't know how they've been hearing about what I've been doing, but they have somehow. And just like working at all these tech companies and media brands, like I know people that I can either hit up or just curious in general. So hopefully, like, I can leverage some of those relationships at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I haven't like strategically or like actively planned any way to onboard people yet.
Yeah, I think you're already doing enough bridging of gaps too that it's like we can let you slide on the Web 2 to Web 3 gap right now, especially since you do have your work over in Web 2 that I think enough people will realize, and they'll start seeing headlines and they'll be the laggards, and that's fine. They can buy it, and I will gladly let them do that. I guess we do want to talk a little bit specifics before we let you go, because we do like to keep it at this hour-long mark for us. Adam, do we have like a mint price or anything in ETH for the people that bought like a Voxel Monkey supply chain 4x4? You know, I know Voxel Monkey gets that one free mint, but what's the mint price going to be? Have you established that first off? And then second off, are they going to be able to mint in Solana and like still get like an ETH airdrop or anything like that?
So I haven't decided on specific price or mechanics yet. I'm getting like just a rough estimate depending on market conditions, probably between like 0.15 and 0.35 ETH for the mint. The only reason I think that is because the supply is going to be 4K. 2 NFTs for one mint price. So I think that's like pretty reasonable. And I've seen similar products get away with like 0.3. Again, like it really depends on what happens in Q1 next year. And then I'm thinking like some of the tools that I've looked into is like basically if you hold the requisite NFT, you can input an ETH address. I don't think you're going to be able to mint with Solana. I think you just like, if you hold this in your wallet, you can input an ETH address to mint and you'll be whitelisted to mint. But that could change. It just depends on the tooling that you end up using.
Yeah. I know obviously you talked with Mumu. Have you like spoken to him about Bothead? Because they do have a whitelist tool with Bothead that's, you know, cross chain as well. I don't know if you've had those talks or not, or if you want to divulge those talks.
Yeah, no, I've been chatting with him. I know his stuff is cross chain, which is awesome. The only thing I'm not sure is if Botheads allows you to stack, because I know a few of my community members had like multiple voxels and like Clanosaurs, for example, or Popheads. They were trying to claim 2, and the Bothead tool was like, you need a separate Discord. So people were having to create separate Discord accounts to claim multiple spots. So I think they gotta like sort that out first, because I think a lot of people are stacking the 4x4s. But yeah, I'm definitely like, if I can leverage the Solana project for the tooling, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, you're talking to multiple people that have multiple 4x4s in here. You know, I only have one, but Joe and Dorian been stacking 4x4s, so they will be pleased to hear that. And
yes,
yes, I am. Thank you. So sorry for interrupting. Yeah, I've been stacking those. I've been so excited about those because I missed the one-of-one space. I have almost the taste or paradigm to look into it. Bison cracked me into the space a little bit, and then I'll go, this is my entry to really, you know, have a position of strength in a project and a person. I've taken my time because it's hard for me to streamline and spiderweb and learn all and everybody. But like Adam, I've looked into you. I've loved what you did before. I mean, you did a piece that was like a Michael Jordan Voxel Monkey. I don't know who you did that for. Crazy, insane. Like that had me like, I was like, bro, this is crazy. I've never even seen or had anything make me feel like this before, like from a one-of-one perspective. So yeah, man, I'm super stoked for it, bro. No, for sure. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, I think that was like his second to last Voxel Monkey, if I'm correct, Adam. It was one of your last ones, right?
Yeah, it was an auction based one. I think it was like 74.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, thank you guys for the kind words and the support, man. It means a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Adam. I appreciate you also clarifying, because I wanted to ask about that, the driver PFP and the mech PFP. Like I thought it was going to be a wrap, but no, it's 2 PFPs for the price of 1, which is awesome. And I just wanted to say too that I heard on an interview, I'm not too sure if it was a Twitter space or it was on with Mumu, that it's like a lot of people on Sol were bothering you, like, oh, what's the utility? What's the utility? And like, people didn't really appreciate the art. And you're saying that, oh, Iron Pod doesn't have utility, but from all conversation now, pretty much what I got the utility is you're forming a top tier community. And to me, that's the best utility. Like it's a community I want to be a part of that you're curating. So it's like, that's more the utility than creating some scrub tool or anything else that you could done. And just to be able to like network with you and other individuals is like super exciting for me.
Man, I appreciate that. I still, well, maybe not recently, since I've like made it clear that there's not gonna be some gimmicky token or whatever it is, but people were like, hey, is this just gonna be the art? And I'm like, well, is that not enough? Like,
that's enough for me.
what else you want from me, right?
Yeah, I don't know what you want.
And
Let me
that-
give you revenue. Like,
No, and that's what I'm saying about the Solana ecosystem, like an echo
Mhm.
chain, like that to me as a founder would just be like, why would I want, I get it from that perspective of like
Mhm.
fatigue as a founder, having someone always asking you like, no, you know how much time is going into just this is what it is. Like if anything else comes, great. That'll be a
Yeah.
bonus to you. But like take
Mhm.
it for what it is and enjoy it. Like I mean that's the problem, but I do understand we're such a low market cap ecosystem and it has the barrier to entry is very low, so the paradigm of investor is going to be very low, so I understand that, but the ability and opportunity cost there to grow and innovate is also much higher, so you have the pros and cons, but so I totally understand your paradigm with that and your choices, so I definitely get it, man. It's just I'm super stoked regardless for
Yeah.
just the art and and just the experience of interacting with it, so yeah, I'm
Yep.
hyped.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think like I have things. So I love the phrase like under promise, over deliver, and I think there's a lot of things I would love to do in a perfect world if Iron Paw becomes a huge success. Like obviously the IP can scale to all different places, but if I want to be, I want that to be the icing on the cake instead of like making empty promises. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Guys, I think that's about it. I guess my big question for you, Adam, was what was the big deciding factor of going with Ethereum over Solana? Like we talked about a lot of factors today, but what was the one that was like, yep, nail in the coffin. This is why I'm going with Ethereum.
I've been having conversations with a lot of ETH collectors, and as an artist, right? Like you see all the big sales. This is just the current landscape, and I don't see this changing for a while. Maybe it will change, but right now, the biggest names, the tastemakers, are all on Ethereum. And if my work can stand shoulder to shoulder with those people as an artist, like why wouldn't I want that goal, right?
Yeah.
And that benefits all of my collectors.
Yep.
Is it obviously, like I said, it's a bigger risk, right? Like it's proven that I can do well on Solana. That's fine, but I mean, we're NFTs. We're here taking risks, so why not?
Right.
Yep.
It just felt like the right thing to do, and I hope it works out. I feel pretty confident. I obviously, like, anything can happen, but I just want, like, I've been in I don't want to say names, but I've been in DMs with big ETH people, and if I get them on board, that it would just be massive. And
Yeah.
Yep.
they have been honestly, they've been hesitant to buy Solana stuff. So hopefully this is like the goal of just bridging that gap. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. It is. And I think we mentioned Critters. I mean, we kind of have a little bit of a sample size now where, dude, Critters is some of the best pixel art I've seen around. And it's kind of like, if that was launched on Ethereum, I think it would be, at least 2-3 SOL. So we're talking what? That's about 120 SOL minimum. Whereas, on Solana, it's like people flipping for 2-3 SOL or something like that. And it's like, what, that's not going to build a brand. Like price, literally, I mean, floor price going up is one of the best utilities, right? And so when you're flipping for a small gain, you're really hindering the brand promise of like making headline news. I mean, unfortunately, that is one of the functions of making headlines is like floor price goes up. So, when you're talking about 25 SOL, well, that's less than half an ETH. And then you have like Ethereum, where it's like, hey, my project could go to 2-3 ETH, be a top collection over there, and that has more prominent eyes, I would say, more mature investors over there. And then you make headlines over there, and then you do something that is cross-chain relevant, or people start seeing your work over on Solana, and they're like, wow, maybe this chain has validity. And I think it's up to us as investors and promoting the community on our front too. It shouldn't just be like put on your shoulders as a creator. So
yeah, man, I appreciate that, because like, last week with that Twitter beef or whatever, I was just like, I can't believe this is a thing. Like, if people are hating on me for like choosing where I drop my work, like, what the hell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yep. You're a creator. Like, it's up to you, bro. Like, like I can be salty about it for like that. I'd sit there and be like, well, why is he doing that? Because I think about it in like the small confines of, like I said, my Punnett Square, where I'm like, well, why didn't he just release them on as a 101 over on Ethereum? Well, I guess a question for you that would be cool. would you ever think about releasing like legendary iron paws or something as 101s on ETH? Because I think that would be like a cool, like you're also bridging the 101 space over there, and like I don't know, showing like, hey, I did 101s over there. I'm gonna release some as legendary auctions over on ETH, and like that'll be like what leads up to the generative collection. Have you thought about doing something like that?
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen. I don't know if it's gonna be before or after the mint, but yeah, definitely planning to make some auctions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's exciting, man. I cannot wait to see how this all turns out for you, Adam. We are big supporters over here. I really do appreciate your time and talking with us about your background and all your work, what led to Iron Paw and Voxel Monkes, and kind of your thought process behind it all. It's been really cool to watch it all unfold, and I think we all appreciate your time.
Yes.
Dorian and Joe, I want to give you any closing questions, and then Adam, if you have any closing remarks, things that people should know, any plugs that you want to make, let us know. All right, Dorian, we'll go with you first.
No, I don't have anything. Adam, I appreciate your time, man. It was amazing talking to you. It's like I was bullish on you before I got to this opportunity to talk to you. I'm 100 times more bullish now, and I still feel underexposed. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're extremely busy, but I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody tuning in today.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Likewise.
Joe, you got anything?
Yeah, I appreciate your time, Adam, man. I'm super stoked for your future endeavors, brother, and I wish you well in everything you do, man.
Matt, appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Means a lot.
Adam, do you have anything you want to plug in the meantime? Anything you want the viewers to know that we didn't cover today?
I think that's everything. Thank you again for having me. Thanks for everyone who's listening in. I think there's nothing else to plug. I mean, so this might be an exclusive right here. I don't want to say anything too early, but I'm gonna have one more edition dropping on Solana. It's not gonna have utility for Iron Paw, as I said, that's closed. But the collaboration partner is a pretty massive partner. I think it's gonna get announced next week or in the next 2 weeks. So maybe look out for that. That's all I'll say.
Sweet. All right. You guys heard it here first. Let's go, Adam. I'm excited to see it, man. Yep. I love to see it. Well, no, that's huge.
I'm loading liquidity. Hold on.
I know, right?
It is cool to see you still like involved in, making art outside of Iron Paw too. I know that's gotta be tough. Like how do you manage juggling projects like that where you were? Because I'm sure you started working. When did you start working on Iron Paw?
Like 3 or 4 months ago. It's been it's like honestly I say no to like all these cool projects that I love, like RGB from Critters. We've been talking about doing a collab for a while. Pop Heads, Cleanosaurs. I just haven't had time. I want to do something with them eventually, but this partner who I won't say yet, but it's a pretty massive launch partner. I just couldn't say no. So this was one where I just had to make time. And
let's go.
Okay, you'd love to hear it, Adam. Well, no, seriously, thank you, man. And I appreciate the little bit of alpha, little teaser alpha, if we want to call it that. And man, we wish you the best of luck. I know we're super bullish on you. I hope everybody listening to this, whether it is on Twitter, YouTube, or any of our podcast platforms, go check out Adam. Seriously, his work is incredible, both in the Web 2 and Web 3 space. And then check out the previews of Iron Paw. I will go ahead and retweet that right after the show, just so it's on my timeline if you guys want to go check it out. But seriously, go give Adam a follow if you haven't already on Twitter. Post some really cool stuff. And seriously, I do appreciate your time, Adam. It has been an absolute gem talking with you, my man. And we wish you the best of luck. Seriously, it's going to be really cool to watch this all unfold.
Thank you, guys. We'd love to come back sometime as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd love to have you back anytime, man.
We'll let you catch your breath after Iron Paw and stuff, and we'll try to get you on once this all kind of unfolds and you kind of get to see the fruits of your labor. But yeah, this has been a really fun conversation, Adam, and we look forward to having you back one day.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a good day, brother. Thank you.
Have a good later, Adam.
All right, guys. Well, seriously, what a gem talking to Adam Ape. Man, not every day. We just we tweeted at him, shot our shot, and we really appreciate his time. We appreciate all you guys for tuning in to RareFUD Radio episode 17. Hey, we are just crushing these episodes right now.
Yeah,
A friendly reminder
Crazy.
that Twitter Spaces is happening tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We had a banger of a space last week. I would imagine that, we will have another good discussion because we have a lot of market talk to catch up on as well, what's happening in the market. I wanted to take this opportunity to talk to Adam because his time is valuable and what he's doing for the space is bar none. Really, it is. And just the gaps he's bridging, like we talked about in the conversation. If you guys have any questions for us, please let us know on Twitter. We'd love to address any questions, comments, concerns that you have about the show, anything we covered today. And we continue to appreciate your support. It means everything to us and just growing this channel tremendously. Make sure you drop us a subscribe on YouTube. It does help grow the channel tremendously. Tweet it out, share the links, retweet the Twitter thing. And we have everything in our link tree as well. Linktree/RareFUD Radio. So make sure to check that out. Guys, closing remarks for the show. I'm still on a high right here. It was fun talking to Adam.
Yeah.
But Joe, let's go with you first because we haven't heard much from you, man. I'm sorry. We kind of just started shooting off questions here, but
you guys
Joe,
were asking, you guys are doing great, asking everything that I wanted to ask. I had no reason to interject until the end, just to tell them, my little whatever I felt personally. So yeah, man, you guys did great. I learned a lot from this myself as a co-host. I felt like I was a viewer during it, which was awesome. So I had a lot of fun today, guys. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
And guys,
Yeah.
and Bison shoots himself short. We did not get Adam. He got Adam.
Yes, he definitely got Adam.
He did that. That wasn't us. That was not us.
That was all Bison.
I appreciate that, but yeah, that was all Bison. So man, that was super cool to see. That's organic, bro. So thank you.
Yeah,
oh, man.
appreciate it.
Happy to do it, guys. Yeah, I couldn't think of better people to do it with. So no, it was, goodness gracious, my dog's going ballistic today. But yeah, no.
Oh, dude, I've been there with the dog troubles, man. It's fine.
I got two on my floor right now. So
Yeah.
I totally get it, bro.
Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and sign us off here. Seriously, it was a pleasure, guys. A pleasure talking to you two as always, and pleasure talking to the viewers. Seriously, make sure you come check us out on YouTube. It is the best way to interact with us live on the show. I can at least text or type out the questions or answers to the questions that are in the chat. So make sure you do so if you have any live thoughts or comments or concerns. And then make sure to catch us on the space tomorrow, Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be hosted by the RareFUD Radio account. As always, we will have Joe and Dorian on there unless something comes up on their schedule. And we'll be talking to everybody. We'll be talking to the market. We'll be talking to you guys. We'll be talking to some founders. I'm sure we'll stop in as normal. And it's one of our favorite things to do this week is jump on here on stream with you guys and then jump on that Twitter space. So make sure to follow that. We are on podcast. If you guys are listening to on podcast, we do have YouTube and Twitter, which we stream too. So make sure to check those all out. Guys, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of RareFUD Radio. We will see you tomorrow on the Twitter space. And then next week, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, we actually have Shake from Cyber Samurai. Make sure you keep that on your reminders. Make sure to set your calendar alerts. And we'll see you for that episode next week.